catching up with Q&As here. One more to go here. Bless Kid, I admire your channel, blah, blah, blah. I have a blue female that is confirmed pregnant. Her dad was a blue, her mum was a blue fawn. In her litter was 5 blues and 1 brindle. I never DNA'd her. So the question is, if I bred her to a fluffy stud that doesn't carry color besides black, white, pied, and brindle, would all the puppies come out black, white, and brindle? Well, the problem with this is, look, what you've got to do is, I keep on harping on about this, you've got to go do a DNA test on your dog, because without that, you really don't know where you are. Look, if you had two blue parents, she's a blue dog. So if you put her with a non-blue dog, you're not getting any blue puppies. And if you put her with a brindle dog, which is what you mentioned there, then you're going to get some brindle puppies. And then you mentioned it's a black and white pied, and if your dog carries a copy of pied, you're going to get some pied puppies. That's all I can tell you. So there it is. Got to start with a solid foundation of understanding what your dog is, and you haven't got that yet. Here's a good one. Alexander Gonzalez, if you have a dog that's due for rabies and parvo booster vaccinations, but she's currently in heat and undergoing progesterone and vaginal inseminations coming soon, do you wait for these vaccinations, or is it safe to vaccinate them? Well, the first answer is vaccinating your dogs is very important, don't get me wrong here, and that needs to be done on a routine basis. But with puppies that are 6, 9, 12 weeks, it's very important to get the order right to get them proper immunity. So that really does matter. But when you do a dog every 6 months, if it's 6 months or 5 months or 8 months, probably is not going to be critical. Certainly the longer you leave this, then the less chance the dog has of having good protection against things like rabies, which, by the way, you absolutely want to have. You do not want to have a rabid dog biting people, that's for damn sure. But you do not, and I can't emphasize this enough, do not give vaccinations to dogs that are pregnant. They will probably abort the litter. That is a big, huge no-no. It's true of human beings too, by the way. You don't vaccinate, I don't know about with COVID, I'd better be careful what I say here. For instance, you don't give polio vaccination to pregnant women, I know that. But the point here is, I personally would not give a vaccination to a dog, even if it was in heat and I hadn't bred it yet. I would just avoid that completely. I'd wait until after the puppies are born, then go get the vaccinations done, not a problem. But I would wait that 2 months personally. So that may not be the best of advice. It may be that if you are, a week away from doing an AI, you can still get it done. Probably okay, but I just don't know the answer to this, so I just don't want to tell you that it's okay to do it. I know that it's not okay to do it after you've got the dog pregnant. So during the pregnancy, it's a no-no. How to terminate unwanted dog pregnancy? Somebody says here, Jaylene Cohort says, does the estradiol cyponate injection work? I have no idea. Sorry, not up on that. I have done a video on this though, and things that do work. David Rosser. What should the progesterone level be once a dog is pregnant? Well, the first thing, David, is you don't fully understand the progesterone cycle yet, because it does not, whether a dog is bred or not, does not affect the progesterone cycle. Dogs go into heat, their progesterone levels rise, they stay high for 2 months until they go out, they go back into a dormant stage for another 4 months. So the answer to this is that you cannot infer anything from progesterone level to tell if a dog is pregnant. It doesn't work that way, because all dogs will basically have the same progesterone level regardless whether they're bred or not. And by the way, that also goes to the other end of the pregnancy. Trying to determine a C-section date off a progesterone level won't work either. The thing that it will work for is to determine whether you're in a safe zone, which is a progesterone level of nanograms per milliliter of less than 3 is safe to do a whelp. But it gives you no indication. If it's at 7, will it be 3 days or 1 day? Nobody knows. And to wit, I had a dog recently that was a 16 the night before, and her temperature dropped, and the next morning she measured a 1.5 and had a successful C-section. So it went from 16 to 1.5 in 12 hours. Some dogs, it might take them 2 weeks to do that. So the problem is the rate of drop of progesterone is no indication of when whelp's going to occur. And likewise, progesterone levels, all you can say is if progesterone levels are above a 20, that dog has, it's gone through a heat cycle. And by the way, that's good for a couple of months after the heat started. The progesterone level will still be high, regardless of whether bred or not. Well, he also says here, does it have to stay above 20 to sustain pregnancy? Yes, it does. So that's another thing, that you can have a problem here where you can get a lost pregnancy because progesterone levels don't stay up. And actually you can give synthetic products like Regulate that can keep progesterone levels up. And Regulate may not be the right name for it. I think it's Regulate. I've never used it personally, but I actually talked to a vet the other day who was talking about this, and we had a conversation. She was actually a vet who bred to one of my dogs, and she had a situation where she was worried that the dog was going to, actually I don't remember the details, whether it had a puppy. I think it may have had a stillborn puppy and it was a week away. And I said, why don't you go take her progesterone levels to find out what her progesterone levels are? And she did, and she came back and says they're like an 8 or a 10. And I said, well, you know, there's products you can give to bring progesterone up, and maybe you can stave off what would be a disaster. And she did that, and it was fine. She didn't have any, she had a whelp about 5 days later, and the rest of the puppies were fine. So she got lucky. I mean, you know, some of this comes down to in situations where you have a stillborn puppy, it depends on where it is in the lineup. If it's all the way towards the back end, last puppy out, and it goes necrotic, hell, you're probably going to lose the whole litter. Everything's going to get flushed out. The dog's going to get in terrible trouble and get septic and have to have spay or at least a C-section. But she got lucky because it was one of the first puppies to come out, and that puppy got ejected 5-6 days before birth, and the rest of the puppies were all viable. She gave the Regulate, keep the progesterone levels up, and she had a successful litter. So hats off to her. That's Christy from Newcastle Vet in Oklahoma. Nice girl. Kimberly Johnson, love all your videos. I never intended on majoring in Jamesology 101. That's funny. I'll send you a test. You can do a test and see whether you can score. We require a 95 to get a pass, by the way. None of this 80s is a pass. We don't believe that. It's got to be a high number. Oh, this is the one that I mentioned last time in the other Q&A, and I said I'd find out the information. DC4 Banger, who's pretty knowledgeable about stuff, it says, "You're a hero has no..." Listen to that dog. That's Kit with her babies in there crying. I'm gonna let her out here in a second. "You're a hero has no intensity. It's like a red form with cream, masters, and tan points." So basically, AY80, 1 copy of tan points, Big E, little E, 1 copy of cream, no intensity makes a You're a hero. Okay, so that's the first time anybody's given me really any solid information on what's going on to make a You're a hero. So I'm not hanging my hat on that yet, but I think that it's very likely that is probably right. And the reason I say it's probably right, because DC4 Banger knows his stuff. So we'll see whether or not, but I've got some You're heroes now. The problem is animal genetics doesn't do an intensity test, so I don't know whether the intensity gene is present on those dogs. Well, this is another one of these. My dog is coming to heat. The dad is a sable. So a sable dog doesn't carry brindle. The mum is a brindle. What's the best dog to breed mine with and eliminate brindle? Well, you don't tell us whether your dog is in fact a brindle, but regardless, I would breed back to a non-brindle dog. Always, 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 always. And I think that was just 25 minutes ago. Always 7 minutes ago. Let's have a look here. Found this just a drop of blood on the ground, checked with a Q-tip and nothing. Has this ever happened to you? Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, you've got a drop of blood on the ground, almost certainly, and especially if it fits in with when she last came in heat, you know, 6 months ago, or she's a younger dog and she is between 7 months and a year and a quarter old, it's very likely that you've got a heat coming on, and then she'll start with typically with some swelling, behavior changes maybe a drop of blood on the ground. And you may not see on a Q-tip. Just, you know, you're not missing anything. Just give it some time, see what happens over the next few days. The blood came from somewhere, all right? I mean, you know, you could come from somewhere else on a dog. She could have a big hole in her hip that you didn't see. You know, it could go somewhere else. But more than likely, you know, it came out of the vaginal area. You know, you can have dogs that can get blood out of their butt, but that's pretty uncommon. Normally you've got poop and everything else that you know where it came from. But, you know, what are the causes of a dog to have a blood stain, you know, on the ground or on its, you know, its bedding? The answer is, most likely thing is it's in heat. But there are other things, bladder infections, vaginitis, you know, pyometria, all of these things could produce a red colored stain on bedding. But the difference is give it, so if you're ever worried about a dog and you're concerned that the dog maybe is having some underlying problems, the first thing that you always do that you can do at home is what? Take its temperature. 102 or less, probably fine. 102 or above, go to the vet, go get an investigation done, find out what's going on, because, you know, especially if this is combined with a dog that sleeps a lot, obviously not feeling very well, drinks a lot of water, different behavior than normally see in the dog. These are all signs, just like you and I. You know, when we don't feel well, everybody around it knows that there's something's up. Hey, James, you're not feeling well. What's up? You know, I've got a runny nose. I'm running a temperature. I can't go to the bathroom. I'm going to the bathroom all the time. You know, whatever it is, you know, just like human beings, dogs can give you some ideas about what might be going on. So pay attention to this. Know your dog. And when your dog's not acting normal, pay attention. It might be it's coming to heat. It might be something else. It might be something trivial. Most of the time when things go wrong with us and with dogs, they solve themselves automatically. And we just, you know, it's like a miracle. It's because our bodies are miracles and they've got all this defense mechanisms inside them to take care of onslaughts from the outside that shouldn't be there. Most of the time, these things resolve themselves. But again, we don't know the answer to what your outcome of your dog's going to be yet, but I would suspect it's in heat. There we go, 11 minutes. And that was just from 7 minutes ago. That is fresh answers right there. All right, thanks for watching. And happy, what do you say? Go kiss a leprechaun, something like that, because it's St. Paddy's Day. Drink some green beer. Make sure you're wearing something green. And what you should wear is you should wear a Ukrainian flag. You know, the green and the yellow is what one should be wearing for those poor folks out there. It's just such a sad situation that the world is still full of maniacal, cryptocratic nut jobs. But anyway, life goes on. Watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.